You ever notice how like the statue, Mike, is like, it's like the movie?
100%.
Like
yeah.
Warning, D.C. is a town full of monuments, and some of them hide in plain sight. This week's target's a little-known statue in Southwest that kind of makes you just want to...
It is very easy to make that link between the statue here and what is arguably the most famous scene of,
I'm flying,
of
Mike.
the movie.
I'm
right?
flying.
If you haven't guessed yet, the outstretched arms of this sculpture belong to D.C.'s Titanic Memorial.
I've been down here a couple times, but never noticed it.
That's right. This one's a little further off the beaten path.
It only took about 20 monuments together to get a ride along with Ranger Mike, but guys, I finally did it. Mike says it's easy to forget DC has a Titanic memorial located south of the wharf at all.
April 25th, 10 days after the sinking of the Titanic, there is a committee formed to erect a memorial to the men who gave their lives on the Titanic, gave up their spots on the lifeboats to the women and children.
Mike told me of the 2,200 plus people that perished when the Titanic sunk to the ocean floor, around 70% were men. That's why it's written at the base that this monument is for them and their sacrifice, dedicated by the women of America.
Its original design was a little bit more, shall we say, revealing of the male figure.
Mike says the designers actually had to go back and smooth over some anatomical portions. That's probably why it took nearly 15 years to build and finally dedicate this in 1931. The Titanic Memorial was originally erected where the Kennedy Center now stands. It wasn't moved to this spot until the 1960s.
By all accounts, when it was brought here in 1968, it was done without ceremony or without fanfare.
It made me wonder, why was it in DC, and then think about all the elements of this Titanic story that I don't know.
Mike told me the Titanic's connection to DC runs deeper than you think, and that there's more than meets the eye when it comes to the connections to the nation's capital. In fact, there are multiple monuments in DC dedicated or connected in some way to the tragedy and the people aboard, including a monument remembering prominent White House staffers who perished on the ship. But I'll have more about that next week in another episode of Mad About Town. Until then,
I'm king of the world!
Here at the Titanic Memorial in Southwest, Matt Kaufax, WTOP News. For more stories like this, download and listen to WTOP Radio on our app or tune in to 103.5 FM.
You suppose they have any idea that they've set anchor next to the Titanic Memorial?